So before we start, we'll let each one of our owners introduce themselves and tell you what they used to do, tell you about their business and where they're at today, what some of their goals are, and so on. So we'll start out with Michael Ryan up top in the red shirt. Michael, give us a wave.
Hey, everyone.
Michael, go ahead. Tell us about yourself and your business.
Yeah, so my business is Forerunner Signs and Graphics. We're located in the Kansas City area, on the Kansas side. It's hard to believe we've been in business just a little over 7 years now. How time flies when you're having fun, I guess. Facility is about 3,000 square feet right now. I've got 4 employees, looking to hire 2 more. I'm looking to do close to 1.4 this year, if not surpass that. We've got a massive client right now, and it's been a partner of ours for a couple of years. We did all their stores in Kansas and Missouri, and they're doing a huge expansion of 70 locations before the end of the year in Texas, which we've now taken on those locations. So it's that's my largest customer currently and largest project per se that we've got in the funnel. And I come from the wireless industry, sales management, and towards the end of my career in wireless, I started a couple of wireless companies for a couple other sets of. That's kind of me.
Yep. Thank you, Michael. Michael Ryan, of the 1.4 million goal for this year, how much comes from that one big customer?
Be about $250,000.
About 250K. Okay, great. Bob McEwen. Bob, give us a wave.
Okay.
Go ahead, Bob. Tell us about yourself and your business.
All right. Signcraft Solutions is our business. We're in the Raleigh, North Carolina area. I've been in business for about 12 years. We've got about a little over 6,700 square feet. And there are, counting my wife and I, there's 14 of us right now. We've got, for sales this year, we're on track to do about 1.7 million. We've got 2 large projects that are due this month. One is a hospital signage project that's over 500 signs. Another one is a shopping center that I'm working on that right now it's in progress, but we're about $175,000 job, a couple of big monument signs, 12 sets of channel letters, interior signage. So it's been a fun project.
Okay.
Background, as far as I came from the corporate world, 22 years in the corporate world, 15 of that as a quality engineer, and 7 years as a product manager.
Thank you, Bob.
Hey, Ken, real quick. Ken, if I may, just real quick, I want to back up and just clarify a statement that I just made. I actually meant to say a little over $500,000 from the one client, so my apologies.
Okay. Got it. Ernie Vincent. Ernie, give us a wave. Tell us about yourself.
Okay, so hi everybody. So my name is Ernie Vincent. I'm the owner of Premier Signs Plus. We are in the Metro Detroit area, in Michigan, about 45 minutes northwest of Detroit. My background has nothing to do with signs. I come from the corporate world, but specifically from automotive engineering. So, you know, I worked for Ford for a long time and a couple of suppliers for a long time. So long career in automotive engineering, everything from an entry-level engineer up to a C-suite executive and everywhere in between. And I wanted to do something really different. I won't take you through that whole story. Jack knows it with the coaches to find the right outlet to get into. But he helped me find Signworld, and I decided to go in because I really love the business model of B2B. I really love the fact that we're not a franchise. We don't pay royalty. We don't have obligations to buy from anything from Signworld's partners, but yet we get access to a tremendous amount of experience, and we're buying all the systems and the methods and all that. And I really like that model, and being able to get into so many different cross-functional elements: sales, customer management, working on vehicles, running a business P&L. I mean, purchasing. There's just every bit of cross-functional that I ever got engaged in corporate, I'm doing here all at the same time. So.
Okay, and last but not least, Jack Werner, our president. Jack, tell us the story.
I joined Signworld 25 years ago, back 26 years ago in 1995. Named with 3D Signs, starting 1,200 square feet with one employee, ended up in 5,000 square feet with staff of 11 doing about 1.3. I then sold that to go into sort of a partnership arrangement with Ken, learning his end of the business, finished buying him out 7 years ago, back in 2014. I'm now the president and owner of Signworld, the corporate office. When I speak to questions today, if it goes to training and policy, I'll go from that perspective. If it goes from my experience of running an operation, I'll speak from that perspective.
Okay. Well, let's get into it. Michael, are you there, Michael?
Yes, I am. Thank you very much.
Michael, tell us your last name, please.
Last name is Herminghaus. I'm Dan's dad. And
Okay.
I'm calling in from beautiful Germany today.
Got it. So you're your dad and Daniel is the son.
Yes.
Okay. And where are you in Germany?
A small city outside of Dortmund. In the center, east of Cologne, Düsseldorf.
Yeah.
So Michael, what's the name of the city?
Sorry?
What's the name of the city? I lived in Cologne for 5 years.
Okay, the name of the city is Herdecke.
Of course. Yes.
30,000 inhabitants.
Yeah, I know.
That's my home, or that's where I grew up before I left the country 38 years ago.
Okay.
39.
Michael, go ahead with your question.
First of all, I'd like to thank Michael Ryan. You probably remember we had a detailed discussion with Dan and myself about 2 weeks ago, and you answered all our questions. So please don't be offended if I asked some of the same questions, because you answered all of them. So
Please do.
Well, my question to the 4 owners, and I think I've heard Jack's answer as well, is a typical question. Thinking back when you started, what was your biggest challenge? Let's say in the first 6 months or first year.
Michael Ryan, what was your biggest challenge in the beginning?
And I did answer this question, but I'll go ahead and answer it for the benefit of everyone else. Mine was really kind of learning how to wear different hats and how to time those hats. You know, I'd opened up a company before, so I kind of knew that role, but like I was now the CPA, I was now the chief marketer, I was now the sales guy, I was now putting quotes together, and so just trying to really balance my time and put the emphasis on growing the business.
Bob McEwen, what was your biggest challenge in the beginning?
Very similar, but also learning how to price signage, and also just learning how to go out and network. And networking was something new for me, and I was doing a lot of networking and then trying to come back and handle everything else.
Ernie to Vincent, your biggest challenge in the beginning?
So the biggest challenge in the beginning is I would say still what I would consider the biggest challenge, and that's on the sales side. You know, setting yourself up and your infrastructure and all your support systems for your marketing and finding customers and acquiring customers and all that. It's a process, and it takes time. It takes time for your website to take hold and to get the Google ratings up and all that. So that was for sure the biggest challenge.
Okay. Jack Werner, your biggest challenge in the beginning?
You know, in the beginning, you're trying to learn what is a sign, what are all the options you can use for the customer, and how do I put that project together. learning who are the right customers. You know, you're starting a manufacturing business from scratch. And so there's a lot of different hats to wear, as Michael said. But a lot of people also say it's whatever their biggest weakness was. If you weren't used to hiring staff, it's that. If it's managing projects, it's that. If you don't understand QuickBooks as a small business person, it's that. So it's just, you have to work on those things and realize it's not a day one instant success. You have to work at it.
Okay, Dan Lucarelli. Dan, are you still having a problem hearing us?
No, I'm just having trouble hearing Jack. Everyone else is fine.
Oh, okay. But can you hear him at all or not at all?
Oh yeah, I can. Just
Okay.
a little bit lower in volume than the other 4 guys that are on the call. That's all. So,
All right.
Jack, use your diaphragm a little bit, buddy.
Yeah, jack it up. Jack it up a little. Jack it up a little. Daniel Herminghaus. Daniel, come off from mute. Go ahead, Daniel, with your question.
All right, guys. Thank you again for taking our questions. Michael asked your biggest challenge in the first 6 months. So my question would be, in the first 6 months to a year, what might have been your biggest mistake that you would like for us to learn from?
Michael Ryan?
Yeah, that one's easy for me. I didn't listen to Dan and Jack out of the gate. I started my business with no SEO in place, kind of just a hodgepodge website. And so I ended up redoing my website in the first year and putting an SEO program in place. So listen to them.
Bob McEwen, biggest mistake?
Early on, we fell into a trap of somebody who was trying to get us to make several large banners, and turned out to be a fraud case. So that was one thing we learned early on.
Okay. Ernie Vincent, biggest mistake so far? Hello, Ernie. Are you there?
Yeah, I am. Sorry, I was just on mute. So the biggest mistake I had starting out, every potential owner I talk to now, I tell them, do not wait too long to start your website development. Get it. I did. And like I said, it takes time for that thing to get traction, like at least a few months. So if you're thinking you're going to have your website ready when you open your doors, you better have your website ready at least a month before you open your doors. So I would.
Jack Werner. Jack, tell us your biggest mistake and tell everybody what we teach now about website launch. Go ahead.
As far my biggest mistake wasn't just in the first 6 months. It was honestly through a lot of my running my sign company, and it's something that I teach today. And that no customer should be a dead end. Every single customer has a potential to get you to somebody else, and they already believe in you. The challenge is sometimes we're too intent on that internet lead and that stranger that we're not really cultivating the people who already believe in us. So it's no customer should be a dead end. Well, you do it sometimes, you don't do it as religiously as you should. And challenge your Signworld owner to go back and really look at your database and figure out how you can leverage each one of those people to somebody else. You know, we're going to recommend that you get your website up and running as soon as you start signing a contract. We have several website developers we're going to recommend. You'll be able to interview them, pick your favorite. They've got the library pictures. They've got all the in-depth that they can do. So, but it's a process to get it up and running. But getting it done early is definitely more beneficial than trying to wait.
We want to see you launch your website 6 weeks before you open, so that by the time you open, you're getting some traction, some phone calls. Dan Lucarelli. Dan, your turn. Go ahead. Throw us a question.
So looking back, can you help me understand how long it took you before you became cash flow positive?
Okay, Michael Ryan, how many months in business before you broke even cash on cash?
3 months. Started
Sorry?
paying my 3 months.
3 months. And I'll ask another question on Dan's behalf. How many months in business before you took your first paycheck?
7 months.
7 months. Bob McEwen, how many months in business before you broke even cash on cash?
3 months.
And how many months before you took a paycheck?
For us, it was, well, about a year, but we the business paid for a lot of our other expenses in the meantime.
Okay. And Ernie and Vincent, how many months in business before you broke even cash on cash?
Well, my answer is not as happy as the rest of the guys. As COVID happened shortly after we opened our doors. And so I would say honestly, it was 15 months.
Okay. And Jack Werner, how many months in business before you broke even cash on cash?
Ernie, not that you have a definite answer on it, but if COVID hadn't been there, what would be your expectation based on how you see sales ramping up in the business and your expenses off it?
Was that to me, Jack?
Mm-hmm.
So, in the business plan that I had put together before we opened up, I had put in 100K for the first year and 250K for the second. Of course, there was nothing called COVID when I did the business plan, but that was the expectation.
Jack, how about you? How many months?
Honestly, I was cash positive my first month. I was running really lean and pushing hard. Took my first paycheck at month 7.
Okay. Michael Herminghaus, back to you, Michael. Go ahead.
I have a question regarding your facilities, whether you are leasing or owning, and whether you would rather do the other if you do one. I mean, if you're leasing, are you saying, oh, I should have bought? Or if you have bought, are you saying, oh, I think I would have been better off leasing?
Michael Ryan, are you leasing and do you want to buy someday?
Oh, totally. I'm on my second 5-year lease, and when I'm finished with this, I'll be purchasing.
Okay.
I don't know that it would have been smart for me out of the gate to purchase. That was just my personal situation.
Okay. So lease for 10 years and then buy.
Or 5.
Bob McEwen? Bob McEwen?
We're leasing, and by leasing, it's allowed us to expand and add on additional spaces in our buildings. So if we would have purchased, it may have locked us into a size that wouldn't have worked out for us.
Do you have a goal of buying a property someday?
No, I don't.
Okay. Ernie DeVincent, you're probably in your first space on a 5-year lease, yes?
So we're in our first space, which I'm very happy with. It's 3,000 square feet in a great light industrial park. So yeah, we're leasing now. And
5-year lease? 5-year?
It's a 3-year lease.
3-year lease. Okay.
I'll redo this lease at the end of that 3 for another 3, and I hope to buy after that.
Okay. Jack Werner, how many different spaces?
I started in 1,200, expanded to 2,300, expanded to a second building totaling 3,500, expanded to a third building totaling 5,300, and then moved next door to one of those buildings and had 5,000 under one roof. We really recommend all lease. We really recommend leasing to begin with and buying for the long term. Buying initially, you really don't know the size you need and what you want the footprint to look like. Buying a bigger building, more expensive. You got overhead you don't need. Buying too small, you can't expand. So rent to practice, own to mature if you can.
Jack, what % of our owners today own their building?
It's a good question, Ken. I don't know exactly. I would say in the 10% range.
Okay, so about 35, 36 owners own their own building.
The smart ones.
The largest owns 2 buildings that are 160,000 square feet each for a total of whatever that works out to be. Okay, Daniel Herminghaus. Daniel, go ahead.
Yes. If I may ask, what made y'all pick Signworld over maybe other franchises you were looking at or other sign companies you were looking at?
Okay, Michael Ryan, compared to everything you looked at, why Signworld? You're on mute, Michael.
Sorry. The no rules was extremely attractive to me. I really like to think outside the box with business strategy and so forth. Obviously, no royalties was huge for me. I didn't want to have to pay somebody else before I paid my employees, kind of thing. And then just the overall, family feel that I got when I called the different owners doing discovery, and I found that to be extremely true.
Bob McEwen, you looked at a lot of things. Why Signworld?
I like the business model as far as that franchises wanted you more in a retail space where you had a lot of walk-in traffic. We wanted to be more business to business, and that was the Signworld model. So I think it's really been worked out well. The no royalties and those types of things also helped and made a big difference. But I think as I've been in it longer, the family, feeling that Michael referenced is really a big part of it as well. We really have a lot of camaraderie between the other owners.
Okay, Ernie Vincent, why Signworld?
Well, it's a really good question, and part of my answer is going to be just like what the other guy said, right? I love the business model. I won't expand on that because I think the others already did. I think, and another part of that Michael talked about was the network. Is so impressive. They're calling it a family, but the network is so impressive. It's almost like when I was going through the process of discovering everything, it's almost like you couldn't believe that it was real, because these other owners you talked to, they were so friendly, they were so helpful, they were so transparent with information. It's like, how can this be? It really is true. But the number one reason on top of those two is the success rate. Or you can look at it, the failure rate. The failure rate, the number of Signworld places that open that fail, was really low. And I think, to me, that was very attractive. That spoke volumes, and that's why I did it.
Jack Werner, why did you join Signworld 25 some years ago?
I made a list of 35 criteria that were important for me. Some involved my business activities, some involved my family, and some involved the economics. And as I went back to everything else my coach showed me, everything else got kicked out for multiple reasons, yet Signworld hit all 35 of them. So it was kind of a no-brainer for me. But for you, Daniel, knowing you and you at your age, I think the things that you should be concerned with or consider is the number of years you'd be running this. Add up the royalties you'd pay in a franchise world, and you'll see a significant difference. The fact that it's an industry that'll be around long after all of us are gone, so it has the longevity, but also it has the variety of the projects that you won't get bored. I think Bob's our senior guy here. Are there any days that become boring, Bob, because you've done it all before?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Are there any days where it becomes boring for you that you say, oh, I've done this all before, this is not interesting anymore?
Oh, no, every day is different. That's for sure.
Okay, I'm the founder of the company. I started with my own sign company 33 years ago. And to this day, the reason I chose the sign business is that I wanted to manufacture a tangible product. And I wanted to put my name on the label. And when I drove home at night, I would see my work hanging all over town. And 33 years later, I can look out my window right now and see signs that I made. I still see signs that I made here in Honolulu 33 years ago. So it's a great satisfaction where almost anything else that you're going to look at, as far as franchises are concerned, you're putting the other guy's name on the product and you're selling the other guy's product. It's not something that you're making yourself. So there's a tremendous amount of satisfaction in that. Am I right, Michael Ryan, Bob McEwen, Ernie?
Yep.
I'd agree.
Absolutely.
Okay, Dan Lucarelli, you're up again.
I'm up again. Okay. So thinking back, how did you get your first customer and how do you approach business development?
Michael Ryan?
So I knew 3 people in this city when I opened up my business. It was my wife at the time, her childhood best friend, and my chiropractor. chiropractor ended up being my first customer. Business strategy wise, I've always been kind of old school business one-on-one. I'm a big face-to-face guy, a big referral guy. So that's the way I've built my business and continue to try to build my business.
Bob McEwen, first customer and business strategy.
But one of the things that we were taught with Signworld was that as soon as you commit, let everybody know that you're going to be starting a sign business. And so I did that. And we had a friend who's a member of our church that reached out to me. He was a builder and he needed just a post and panel sign for a construction site he was doing. So that was my first job even before I opened. Had another Signworld owner that made the sign for me. I went and picked it up and delivered it. And then the first week we were in business, or the first week that I was with my first employee, he had a customer reached out to him that he'd worked with before and wanted him to do a vehicle wrap. So our first week in our facility, we did a vehicle wrap. So that was the way we got started.
Way to go, Bob. Ernie to Vincent,
So
first customer.
we got started with our first customer who found us through organic search on the web. And it was a great first customer. They turned into a nice repeat customer for us. Yeah, so the business development strategy is centered around, of course, networking, which means you got to join a local BNI chapter. You got to join the local chamber of commerce. You got to look for opportunities to interface with the business community, not neighborhoods, but the business community where you're operating. And then on marketing, you have to spend, and you have to bite the bullet there, and bare your teeth. You're going to spend money to have good, proper marketing. That means not just SEO on your website, but things like Google ads and pay-per-click ads and that sort of thing. You do those things, you'll get off on a good foot.
Jack Werner.
My first customer, we were busy putting our sign up for our own business before we opened, and a marketing manager for a local car dealer was driving by, saw the sign, and came to me. He phoned me. The signs were easy to make. The hard part was figuring out how to attach them to the top of the cars without damaging the paint on the cars. So it became a research project. It's doing as they talk about the network in the community, while you get the internet going, while you start doing all the other activities that can generate business. We're going to give you 56 different activities you can do in new owner training that will help generate that potential customer base. None of which include knocking on doors. Our goal is to have you come back at the end of your career and say, I've never had a knock on a door cold once.
My first customer was Bank of Hawaii. I was in applying for a home mortgage, and the conversation carried into an order. And Bank of Hawaii remained my largest customer the entire time I was in business. Okay, Michael Herminghaus. Michael, go ahead.
I have a question about the organization of your businesses. Are you incorporated? Are you a corporation or an LLC or a single proprietorship? And can you explain a little bit why you choose that route that you took?
Michael Ryan?
Yeah, I started out as an LLC. It's pretty simple to get it set up. Not a whole lot of risk involved when you're starting out. And I switched to an S-Corp 2 years ago for tax purposes.
Okay. Bob McEwen?
We are an LLC, but for taxation purposes, we're taxed as an S-Corp.
Ernie to Vincent?
So we are a C-Corp, and we did that because I was using 100% of the capital that I was going to make available to start the company and have the operating capital and all that was from retirement funds, 401ks that I had. And so I spent a lot of time with people about the right way to do that. And C-Corp, using that kind of a funding approach, C-Corp was the right answer.
Jack Werner?
If you're doing a 401 rollover, you have to do a C-Corp. If you're not, then I'd go to your accountant in your state and figure out whether an S or an LLC is more appropriate for you to start. And I'd recommend long-term that you change over to a C corporation so you can set up a self-defined benefit plan and shelter even more tax monies.
By far the most popular way of funding Signworld or any franchise. Your franchise coach will probably validate this. By far, most people use the 401k plan, where they then have to have a C Corp. I did that. I used my 401k and had a C Corp. Daniel Hermanhouse, go ahead, Daniel.
Yes, can I ask if y'all decided that the startup equipment was enough for you, or did you purchase more, or is it something you're still running with, kind of thing?
Michael Ryan, how many years in business were you with the startup package only before you bought additional major pieces of sign production equipment?
Well, I'm in business a little over 7 years, still have the original package running on it just fine. No additional equipment outside of, you know, normal installation tools and so forth, shop tools.
Bob McEwen?
5 years before we added more equipment. And then we've added quite a bit since then, but the package is a good package that you get.
Okay, Ernie Vincent?
So I would say, besides getting a truck, and you better put in your investment plan to buy a truck because you're going to need it. As far as the equipment in the shop, we are still running with the package, but I am about to pull the trigger to buy a laser machine, because we're outsourcing a lot of dimensional lasers cut out of acrylic, and I need to have more control over that and get more of the profit out of that. So we're going to buy a laser.
Okay. And Jack Werner, how many years in business before you upgraded from the basic?
My fourth year, I started bringing in more equipment. You know, the original equipment has a lot of bandwidth. You heard the volume Michael's at, a number of years with just original equipment. Everything else you have a resource to make for you, whether it's channel letters, sandblasted sign, carved signs. So you're going to market and sell all of the products and then outsource the unusual ones. Over time, you might bring in some of the equipment to shorten the cycle of time to deliver the customer. You're not waiting on somebody else. But you can go a long ways with original equipment.
Okay. Dan Lucarelli? Dan?
Can you talk a little bit about how you manage projects and how you keep customers informed of dates?
Michael Ryan?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? Somebody was buzzing me.
Sure.
How do you handle, go ahead, Dan, you repeat it.
Can you share a little bit about how you manage projects and how you communicate that to customers about dates?
Yeah, so I take the project up front as far as the sales side and quote side still, although I'm transitioning that formation of my business and how we kind of do things. And then I hand that to my project manager, who's also my operations manager. So he kind of structures everything from there. And then we communicate together on timelines. I kind of set a basic one up front. And then when we nail everything down, then I'll communicate proper timelines to the customer.
Okay. Are you considering any automation?
I'm sorry?
Are you considering any automation?
Well, we have our point of sale system, which does some of that. And then we really still flow a lot on job jackets and whiteboards.
Okay.
You know, it's just so much easier to manage for us.
Okay.
I want to interrupt a second. Do we have a guest on the call, Tom Keating? Are you with us, Tom? Hello, Tom. Come off of mute if you're.
Do not have anyone named Tom.
Okay, I think he joined the wrong Zoom meeting. Bob McEwen, project management. Michael Ryan, back to you 1 second. Michael, on a big project, how often do you follow up with the customer to tell them what's going on?
It's kind of really on an as-needed basis. You know, if I've got a massive project, I communicate a little bit more, and it also depends on how long I've had the partnership. You know, my partners that I'm running massive projects know that if there's an issue or whatever, or something changes, I'm going to communicate with them. If it's a new partner, then I need to communicate a little bit.
Okay, Bob McEwen, project management. How do you do it? Automated, computerized? How often do you follow up with the customer on big projects?
Okay, there's three of us that are full-time project managers / sales people, and then my wife does some as well. We, again, depends on the project. The big projects like this shopping center I'm working on right now, I was there this morning talking to them, just working on managing timelines of when we're installing the signs and different things, because there's a lot going on. They're getting ready to pave the parking lot. We need to put in channel letters. They're trying to open. We've got building numbers to put on the building. There's just a lot of communication, so it's constant. On smaller jobs, it may just be that we'll let you know when the sign's ready, and in a day or two, we'll tell them that it's done. So it just depends on the size of project and what's required, but we have a system that we use to manage our projects and determine set dates on when we're going to do these installs, and we try and communicate with customers and keep them informed as much as we can.
Okay.
Ernie to Vincent?
So we use two systems to accomplish that. The main project management tool we use is Trello. And we use Trello because we can organize our boards and our lists that follow the process the way it actually operates from beginning to end. It's very logical, sequential, that kind of a thing. So that's how we're doing our internal project management. When a status changes, like let's say it's gone out of a design proof and now it's been approved and now it's into production, we then go into Corebridge and we update the product status in Corebridge. And Corebridge is great for customer communication because you can send a quick email to the customer, or you can let them see in their customer portal the status of their product, where it's at. And so that's how we do it.
Jack Werner?
Jane Borum, if you're there, can you come on camera and talk about the enhancements that Corebridge has made a test process right now to bring fully on board, probably what, end of the year, early next year. Gene, are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, perfect. Thank you. So yeah, our Corebridge technology is going through a massive overhaul. We're really excited about a lot of the changes that they're making. That's expected to be released. We believe it's going to be live early next year. There's some beta testing going on right now. But they're doing a lot to really improve, with the CRM systems and the technology capabilities there, as well as project workflow management. There's some really nice added features that they're adding to it. So they're constantly improving that. And we're also working together just to improve the training that we provide our owners to get them up and running on it efficiently and effectively in the beginning. I think Bob mentioned about, how to price projects in the beginning was one of his challenges, and really helping owners get out of the gate with that and be more effective with the technology. So constant improvements, and we're always trying to find ways to make the owners more efficient and effective in their business with that software.
Okay. Michael Herminghaus, back to you, Michael.
Sorry? Yeah. Question regarding numbers. Are you willing to share margins with us, gross and net, if possible?
Okay. Michael Ryan, year in, year out. What's your average net profit?
Well, in the first year, I would say it was a little lower. I was probably running about 20%, but I was reinvesting a lot in my business. And now I run anywhere from 24 to 27%. 24 to 27% net profit year in, year out. Bob McEwen, what do you run at?
I would say very similar to what Michael just said. We started off lower, but it's up in that range now, 24 to 27%.
Okay, and Ernie to Vincent?
You're on mute, Ernie.
Sorry, keep doing that. So honestly, we're not near that level yet. You know, again, because of our COVID situation here. But what I can tell you is that what we're quoting, we quote our jobs now basically most all our jobs at 65% margin. Wraps we have to quote at 50% margin because of just the competitive nature. A couple of things we go for like 70%, but so that's on the sales side, that's where we're at. But total P&L, we're not where Mike and Bob are at this point.
Jack Werner, all the years that you ran your business, 10+ years, what was your year in, year out net profit margin?
Very steady at the 25% net. Most owners will tell you they're between a 20 and a 30. The guys running lean, we've got somewhere over 30% net bottom line.
And usually the longer you're in business, the more refined your customer base is, the more refined your pricing is, the more refined your productivity is. So it's for owners that have been around 10 years or more, some of them will talk to you about margins as far as 30% or even more. But they've honed it over a number of years. Daniel Herminaus, go ahead, Daniel.
I'm sorry, may I ask a follow-up question to Ernie? Because in the beginning, somehow I missed when did he start and how many employees does he have now?
Ernie, when did you start?
So we moved into our building November 1st of 2019. And so November was basically a month of setting up, you know, getting the machines in and set up. And we really realistically opened our doors late November, December 1st. And so right now there's three employees.
Okay, but at the time during the lockdown, you had one employee.
Two.
Okay. Daniel Herminaus, go ahead, Daniel.
Yes, so mine is a semi follow-up question to my last one, and it was we were talking about the equipment. Now my question would be how much do you build or manufacture in-house versus purchase from others? Do you have a percentage maybe for us, rough?
Michael Ryan, what percent of your business is manufactured in-house? What percent is subcontract?
It depends on the project load because like right now I'm heavy outsourced because
Michael, your audio is distorted. Because there's something you can do a little closer to the microphone.
Yeah, is this any better?
Much better, 100,000% better.
Okay. So it depends on our project load because like right now I've got so many illuminated sign projects going on in Texas. You know, I'm probably running 90% outsourced, but on an average month, it's probably about half and half. We kind of go through seasons where we do a lot of wraps or then we do a lot of monument signs, so it just varies for us.
Bob McEwen, what percent of your business do you manufacture in-house? What percent do you subcontract on an annualized basis?
We're probably about 70% we do in-house, about 30% outsourced. And we're not a UL certified shop, so we do outsource any lighted signs, but if they're non-lighted, we make them mostly in-house. We're doing all of our ADA signs and things like that in-house. So there's a lot that we do.
Ernie to Vincent, not to go into the history because of the lockdown and all that, but now that you're back, boots on the ground the last couple of months, what percent of your business is in-house? What percent is subbed out?
So I would say it's about 40% inside and 60 out. That being said, there's nothing that we completely outsource. We don't contract anything completely out. We always do some part of it to the extent that we can.
Okay. And Jack Werner, 10 years plus, what percent was in-house?
I started about 75-25. As I got into bigger projects, I probably moved to about a 50-50. and then bringing in some of that equipment, it's probably about an 85-15 mix at the end.
And when I started, all we had was a hammer and a chisel, so I was about 50-50. Daniel Luca, there were no color printers when I started, no color printers. Dan Lucarelli, Dan, go ahead.
We didn't have hard drive computers.
Yeah, we had floppy disks, 5 1/4 floppy disks.
Hammer and a chisel, and I was happy to have it. If you knew now, if you knew then what you know now, what would you have changed?
Michael, Ryan?
I would have started probably 35 years earlier.
Bob McEwen?
You know, I don't think I would have changed too much of what we did. I mean, yeah, I'd say start earlier, but I feel like, you know, yes, we made some mistakes along the way, but we started off pretty strong. We've done well. I can't really say that I would change too much.
Ernie Vincent.
Oh, it's a good question, Dan. I would say two things. We talked about one already, do your website sooner, but a very, very important one is really get a good handle on how much competition, how many other sign shops are in the area that you're looking to open. And if you, that is what I would do different. I would put myself in a different location. I would still for sure do Signworld. I would do it in probably a little different location because there's a lot of shops around me.
Can I just
Jack
jump
Werner?
to follow up with Ernie? See, for me, I'm from a totally different boat on that. I mean, I have
Closer, Michael, Ryan, closer to the microphone.
Wow, it was working before. Sorry, guys. I just wanted to jump in real quick because my experience is different than Ernie's. I probably got 15 sign companies within about a 3-mile radius of me. I very rarely butt heads with them. I don't get in bid wars. I just don't play the game. So my experience has been a little different on that front.
Okay. Jack Werner?
I had 10 competitors within 1 mile of my operation. I really didn't let it concern me because there's just that much business out there. You know, I think it's leveraging the power of who you have. It's working on bigger, working on the business, not working in the business. The limit of the business is you. It's your bandwidth to be able to follow up and manage more. So working on the business is my best advice.
Michael Hermanhouse, back to you.
Well, I have nothing left to ask. Just thank the gentlemen for the time and their insights and the details of their responses. I really appreciate it. Everything brings us a step closer.
All right. Daniel Hermanhouse. Daniel, go ahead.
Are any of y'all offering benefits to your employees? I know it's not very common in the industry, but with me being a type 1 diabetic, I at least want to extend it also to my employees. Is that feasible?
Ron?
Yeah, no, totally. I had this discussion with you guys. Like, I've offered and tried to bring in health insurance for my guys, but they made other plans or weren't interested in it. We've talked about 401k. They're not interested in that right now. So, you know, it's not expected, but it's definitely something I want to bring when they need it.
Okay. Bob McEwen?
We do offer a 401k with some matching. We also have, we've set up something with Liberty National where we offer a supplemental insurance and some life insurance and some things, but not health insurance.
And Bob, when did those things kick in, the 401k and the life insurance? Day one of your business, year 5, when?
Oh, it was probably about year 6.
Okay. So up till from 0 to year 6, no benefits.
No benefits, no.
And Michael Ryan, the same with you, from no benefits.
Correct.
Okay. Ernie Vincent, benefits for your employees?
So right now, there is not anything, but we are going to have 401k by the end of this year because, again, we're a C-Corp with retirement money. You kind of need to do that. And I'm also looking into, with our friends at Aflac, I don't know if you can see that, some of the kind of benefits that Bob McEwen talked about, not healthcare, but some of the supplemental sort of things. I'm looking into that right now.
Jack Werner?
You know, it's an industry where with them, the sign makers you're hiring coming from an independent sign company, they're not coming with a benefits package. So you don't need to have it in the beginning and front end load your P&L statement with a lot of benefits heavy items. But then being the good boss, add those items as soon as you can to become the better than average boss, so that you can keep the people for retention.
Okay. Dan Lucarelli?
I think I'm out of questions, and looks like we're almost out of time.
Okay, Dan Herminghaus, any more questions?
That's it for me, guys. Thank you so much.
Okay, Jack, do you want to close it out?
I can. Thank you guys for being here, especially Michael and Bob and Ernie. We know your days are busy, and we really, really appreciate the efforts you're putting into being here to help us with this. We'll have another webinar just like this in a couple of weeks on Wednesday, August 4th, with a different panel of owners. Michael and Daniel, you've already been to a Discovery Day. I know you're getting close to figuring out if you can make this work. Dan Lucarelli, our next Discovery Day is Friday, August 13th, a 7-hour day of Zoom. And hopefully you can attend that. Keep digging into it, keep figuring out what makes sense, and we'll take it from there.